Good Saturday morning. You're tuned into the Saturday special. We've got MZ about to hit the mic. We've also got a special guest. Maybe he'll introduce the special guest.
Oh, geez. Josh, was I late again?
You were fashionably late, though.
Have you introduced me and I wasn't there?
I just introduced you just moments ago, like within the minute.
You know, I should be fired.
But who would do that? Would you fire yourself?
You have the permission to fire me.
Okay, MZ, you're fired. Walk out of the studio.
Well, Dave Michaels is here. Maybe he can rescue me. Do you think I should be fired, Dave Michaels?
I think you should be given a promotion and a raise, MC. That's what I think.
Okay, you are here at the Dave Cave on the final day.
The final day, yes.
Of the longevity buy two, get one free sale.
Right. Now, here's the deal. I'll only be out here from 10 a.m. until 2 p.m. Right? So from 10 to 2 a.m. to p.m. So if you're listening to the replay at night, I will not be there. Don't go at night. But if it's still morning, you're listening to this live, it's between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. I'll be out at the Dave Cave. The deal is buy two, get one free. MZ, we only have 4 Ultimate Daily Classic left. So if this is something that you're looking for, you'd better stop by right now because I'm not holding them for anybody. First come, first serve, buy two, get one free, Ultimate Daily Classic. This is to promote healthy blood pressure. Now what this does is it promotes healthy blood pressure by not thinning the blood, but by dilating the blood vessels. Right? So it doesn't interfere with any medication that you're on. If you're on blood thinning medication, it's not going to interfere with that. What it does is dilate blood vessels so you get fresh blood to your parts, kidneys, eyes, brain.
And what about the other part down there?
Hey, get to that too, I'm sure.
Will that work?
Yeah.
You think so?
Sure
is that what the blue pill does? It dilates down there.
You want to hear a funny story, MZ?
I do.
You know, we sell a product in there called Ultimate Cardio STX. Right? These are these little sticks.
Yeah.
And they were. I've heard that they were first marketed as a stimulant for males. You know, to help get the blood flow going throughout your entire body, including down there. Now, it didn't sell so hot under the first name, so what they did was they repackaged it under a different name, and that is the Ultimate Cardio STX. So it promotes healthy blood flow even down there.
What was it called first?
It was called GTO, Get Turned On.
I'm surprised that didn't sell better than...
So am I.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
But they had to remarket it and repackage it, rename it, and that's what it is out there.
And of course, it's flying off the shelves.
So we've got 2 or 3 left.
And you've made clear, I don't want anybody to misinterpret, your promo about the 4 Ultimate Dailies left.
There's only 4 left, yeah.
Yeah, but they can buy 2 of anything and get 1 free.
Sure, yeah, they can buy 2.
And they can even get a credit for the equivalent.
Sure.
So you mix them. We're easy to work with here at KSCO. Now... yeah, go ahead.
I want to say thank you to Mark, who just stopped by to purchase a KSCO hat, which we have as well. Hats, beanies, sweatshirts, T-shirts.
Perfect.
All that
perfect,
stuff.
perfect segue into what we need to talk about now.
What's that?
Should. MAGA hats.
Oh, yes.
Now, is it a good idea to sell, for KSCO to sell Make America Great Again hats? Because nobody else has the guts to around here or in the San Francisco Bay Area. I've never seen one for sale anywhere, so why shouldn't we do it? And while we're at it, put a little KSCO embroidered logo on to one side or the other of the Make America.
I'm thinking also of getting, I got to get the name of that guy who owned the magic shop, because he did patches and iron-ons, and I want to get some Flight 1080 and KSCO patches, and you can put them on whatever you want. Vests,
yeah, he's in that business.
Backpacks, put them on whatever you want.
Great, yeah, we'll do that, and we also have another great source. But yeah, I want to put that out. In fact, I've told a story numerous times about what happened to me when I went into the restaurant, not realizing I was wearing a red Make America Great Again hat.
Right.
I thought it was a red KSCO hat.
Right.
And I almost got killed.
Yeah.
And I'm not exaggerating.
I know. I believe you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that was a long time ago. I think it's getting worse now. So why in the world would we even think about selling those things here?
Because it'll make liberals mad, right? That's part of it.
Is that what we want to do?
You don't want to do that. What we want to do is, support our side. But if it makes them mad, so be it. So be it. Right? I don't want to make anybody mad. That's not my thing. I just want to express, what I think and want to hear what other people think.
It sort of brings to mind the first time I was thrown out of KSCO.
Mm-hmm.
That was January 4th, 1967, on the Santa Cruz High on the air radio show. I thought we had done the best show ever, I and the high school staff. But Mr. Berlin came in, and he said that I was through because I had made a fart noise. It was a raspberry. It was a... We need to make that a station ID. Don't you think? And it would have been appropriate to use here in this discussion. If it's going to... I don't care about making liberals mad.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care about making conservatives mad. These people need to get a life and see some humor in life, you know? Do you think that that's going to be inflammatory to hear a lot on KSCO?
I don't know. But you know what? I was just thinking about. I saw something about President Trump. I remember it was the gift that somebody gave you with the little punching Donald Trump, and he says, never forget 7-Eleven.
Right.
That is so funny. It is so funny. And the thing about, I don't know about Trump fans, but about conservatives, I think most conservatives, they have a sense of humor. That is funny, right? Even if it's about your own guy, that is funny.
Dave, you're a pro. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm going to run out and get that.
Okay.
And while you could talk while I'm getting that. Okay.
Do we have a guest today? Do we know who the guest is today?
We do. We have the Michael Harrison rap guest.
Oh, really?
I mean, himself. And he'll be with us in like 7 minutes here. But hold on a second, because don't hold on. Keep talking.
Okay.
You can talk while I go.
What do you want me to talk about?
Just
anything.
Yeah, anything you want.
Okay.
And talk about whether you think that we should what you think we should do. You and I never talked about that until yesterday. About
the MAGA
selling
hats?
MAGA.
Okay. All right.
MAGA/KSCO hats.
All right.
At the Dave Cave.
We'll
Why
put it
not?
out there. We'll put it out there.
There might be some good reasons not to.
Okay.
Like fear of death.
All right. Well, you can give us a call at 479-1080, or you can send a text message. That will go right to me, 831-218-5726. That's 218-KSCO. Send a text message. Let me know if that is something that you're interested in, and I'll be sure to get some of that kind of merchandise in the Dave Cave. I think it's a good idea to sell that kind of stuff. I don't know how many people will buy it, but I think it would be a fantastic thing to have along in the Dave Cave. We do have, on the less inflammatory side, some Flight 1080 and KSCO gear. Beautiful hats, T-shirts, sweatshirts. All those are available at the Dave Cave until 2 p.m. today. If you're doing Christmas shopping, be sure to stop by and stock up there. We have shirts and T-shirts sweatshirts and T-shirts at really good prices, as well as the beanies and hats. They're beautiful, high quality products, and I think you'll enjoy them. So stop by the Dave Cave. I'll be out there till 2. Buy 2, get 1 free. That's on anything that we sell out there. Buy 2 items at regular price and get the third one free, or spend the credit however you want. And my suggestion is always the classic trio, Arthrodex, Glucogel, OsteoFX, and BTT. Keep getting those two confused.
Is it against the law for humans to consume Arthrodex?
No.
Just because they're not dogs or cats or aminals?
And I want to remind people, too, MZ, that Jack Stein and I did a video and not a video, but a recording that explains all the Healthy Start Packs, what they do, what they consist of. You can go to KSCO.com and find it there. Anything that you want to know about the Healthy Start Packs, you'll find there.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Thank you for keeping the air not dead while I went out to get this.
Make America great again. My IQ is huge. Never forget 7-Eleven.
That's funny stuff.
Good people don't go into government. You're fired. I'm the smartest guy I know.
Is he good?
Don't touch the hair. I'm gonna build a wall. Make America great.
Anyhow, you get the idea. This is a wonderful pen. I'm so ashamed. I'm disorganized. So the person who sent this to me in the mail is a gift. I thanked him on your show.
It's a Donald Trump pen that has little
Right.
punching
Yeah,
gloves.
but the person, I want to give the person credit now, but I forgot his name. It's terrible. Who sent me this thing just out of the blue, and I'm so thrilled because nobody
Is
ever.
it Steve?
You have a better memory than I do.
I don't remember. Somebody sent me a text that says, make speech free again. And
Okay.
I don't know if we're going to put that on the hats, but when you wear KSCO hats, MZ, when you wear KSCO gear, that's what you're basically saying is I enjoy healthy dialogue. I enjoy free speech. I want to hear what people say. I'm not afraid of the truth being spoken. I support free speech. That's what you say when you wear your KSCO gear.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay, thank you,
All right,
Dave.
MZ. Okay.
Yeah, talk to you. Have a great day in the cave. Okay, so I just realized we haven't even done the intro, the good morning.
Good morning, a brighter day is here. Good morning, may we bring you cheer.
We've got time, we've got tunes, we've got time, tunes, and temperature.
Get up and go, it's today you know on KSCO Radio.
Okay, you've heard the promo, I assume, if you've been listening, because we've been playing it every hour since like 7 a.m. yesterday. We're going to do a program about smearing today, okay? Have you been smeared? I've been smeared once, and boy, did that hurt. It was a long time ago, and I might be smeared again as a result of doing this program. Who knows? But stay with us until noon. I think you'll be happy you did.
Good morning, now stay right here on KSCO Radio.
All right, in a minute or two, I'm going to sort of bring you up to speed about why we're doing this program. I've been wanting, ever since we got cured of cancer a few months back, to start using KSCO in the way that I intended about 29 years ago. And that is a positive force solving problems in the community. Somehow we got away from that. We got sucked into the vortex of anger and bitching and moaning and not tearing down bridges instead of building them. I think that's what's happened, unfortunately, to talk radio, not just KSCO, but everywhere. And it's such a shame because you got a bunch of trolls, mostly who use talk radio,
Or social media.
to tear things down. Oh yeah, especially social media too. So I want to switch directions, and one of the directions that I wanted to switch to in the form of being positive is identify a community problem that we can all agree on is a problem and should be solved. And it doesn't matter what your politics are. Homelessness is definitely in that category. That's why we started a program on Thursdays from 2 to 4 p.m. About 3 weeks ago, I guess, and 3 or 4 weeks ago, I had Keith McHenry, the head of Food Not Bombs, on a Saturday special or two, and it just sort of led to the creation of a show that would start our commitment, KSCO's commitment to solving the problem. We don't know whether we're going to have any effect at all, but we know for sure that if we don't try, we won't have any effect. So that's what we did, and Keith came on, I think he did a show or so, I can't remember, but he had a co-host named Alicia, who is the head of the homeless union here. But apparently Alicia has a few detractors out there. In fact, maybe a lot, or maybe more, maybe fewer than I think, because we were getting a whole lot of emails here at KSCO saying, how can you elevate such a nasty person to host status on your station? You ought to be ashamed of yourself. So we decided that we didn't want to censor Alicia because she brings a great perspective. Hardly anybody has the background that she does in homelessness, and she's very, very articulate. So, we invited her not to be a host, but to be call in not only the homeless show, but other. Then Keith said, hey, without Alicia, I mean, that's like a major perspective that suddenly we don't have. So, I don't feel comfortable. So those of you who tuned in to the homeless show on last Thursday, and didn't find it, that's the reason. But it's not gone. We're just trying to, it's on ice for a while until we figure out a good way how to move ahead. But that led me, talking with Keith and talking with Alicia, made me think about the idea of covering smearing. And smearing is an increasingly active activity, And I think it's terrible, but that's the way it is with social media and with Yelp and with Google, reviews and so forth. So I wanted to do a program, and we're not going to have any callers this first hour. We're going to have a special guest who's a good personal friend of mine, who is going to bring I actually called him for an idea of who, maybe a legal person or because I wasn't going to have any guests at all. I was just going to have an open dialogue with the listeners and invite them to call in with their stories and their perspectives about smearing and how it can be combated and dealt with and so forth. And then I figured, now we should have an expert, or just anyhow. I called my friend Michael this morning, who is the host of an amazingly professional program that we are so proud to have on the station, and that's called the Michael Harrison Wrap on Fridays during what used to be the last hour of Flight 1080. Now the last hour, Flight 1080 is 2 hours, from 4 to 6 instead of 4 to 7 on Fridays only. But from 6 to 7, Michael is on with his wrap-up of all the news that went on the previous week. Wonderful, wonderful program. If you haven't caught it, catch it. And you don't need to catch it live. You can catch it on the podcast. Everything we do, everything we produce at KSCO is automatically uploaded to our app, KSCO, which is free on all platforms. Anyhow, so let's see here. Access One.
I'm here.
You are there. Hi, Michael.
Yeah, I'm lurking in the background, listening to the show through the amazing technology that we have. I'm on the other side of the country, so.
And you sound like you're right here in the studio with moi.
Isn't it interesting how that works? And it feels as though I'm there. In my headphones, I hear you as if you were in the room with me, and it's an amazing thing to be able to do this. It really is. Even though we've been doing it for a number of years with the digital technology, I never get used to it, because I remember when it would be impossible to do this. We'd have a telephone, and phones are fine, but there's something about that extra clarity and presence that changes the psychology of a broadcast. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, sure. Now, when you and I were talking today, you sort of blew me away when you made a comment, and I'm not going to say, because I might say the comment wrong, or maybe I misinterpreted, but you know what I'm talking about.
Well, then I'll adjust it, and I'll explain where you're wrong. What was it that I said that blew you away?
You said that you have very strong feelings about the issue of homelessness.
I do.
And it might be controversial. I said, oh, really? Well, what is it? And I believe homelessness should be illegal.
Yes. Yeah, homelessness should be illegal. Now that's controversial because people have their own ideas as to how to deal with homelessness. Homelessness, I think, is one of the most important topics that talk radio doesn't get into as deeply as it should. It's been around for as long as I can remember. I remember when I was in my early days of broadcasting, when I used to do the mornings on the rock station in New York at WNEW-FM, and I would drive in from Long Island at 4 o'clock in the morning and then come to Queens and take a subway and then walk through the streets through Grand Central Station and get to the station at 6 o'clock and go on the air at 6:05. And I did this every single day, and you'd be literally jumping over the bodies, sleeping on the sidewalk, or having people saying, give me some money.
Way back then, holy.
It's a long time ago, and that was really my first encounter with homelessness on a regular basis, and I found it quite horrifying, the idea that somebody would be sleeping in filth on the streets of a city in modern times, which of course it was modern back then. It's a funny thing about what's modern, it's now. And I began to think about it, and to me it's just insane that we accept that as part of society's normal behavior. It should be illegal, just like
no one out here in Santa Cruz, certainly, and certainly San Francisco, where it's a major problem now. I mean, it's getting to be ridiculous. I have issues with Fox News Channel because I think they overstate. They make you think that if you visit San Francisco, you're going to have to be hopscotching, around.
Well, they also. I can imagine it's overstated because it's become a political weapon. Yeah. It's become politicized, like climate change, and therefore that's the heart of why I said I believe it's controversial. It's to make it look like the politicians and the liberal philosophies of California have led to this, and something, to a great degree, they're right. But it bothers you because it lowers property taxes, and not property taxes, property values.
I'm in favor of lowering property taxes. Yes.
Yes, indeed. You want values to go up and taxes to go down.
Exactly.
Of course. But you see, okay. So let's sort this out. Let's sort this out because it can go in a million directions. On the East Coast in the winter, the problem is that the homeless are freezing to death. That they are living in the worst conditions on cold, blustery, blizzardy nights. You say to yourself, what the hell? How can anybody survive that? And, it's a problem on a humanitarian level. In California, and I know in Central Coast and San Francisco, it gets pretty chilly, but it doesn't get anywhere like it does where I am in New England, where it will kill you if you stay out.
You know Billy Graff, our director of production here, and he and I had an argument the other day because he said I'm wasting my time to think that KSCO can ever make any kind of a blip or any kind of a dent in homelessness. I said, why? How can you say that, Bill? He says, easy, because it doesn't snow here. That's the reason. He says it's the weather is mild here.
It's a factor.
Yeah.
He's right. He's right that it's a factor, but he's wrong that KSCO can't make a blip. If KSCO changes the lives of 2, 3, 4 people, that's a blip, and it's worth doing. Yeah. But not everybody listening to KSCO is in the Santa Cruz area. You have an audience because this station is so quirky, kind of funky and fun, and unpredictable and uncorporate. You have a large following with this station around the country. How do I know? Because I'm on your station a lot, and I hear from people around the country. So, but the weather, Billy is right. The weather does play a factor in it, and it's one of the reasons why, if you combine liberal philosophies with warm weather, like the problem they have down the coast in Santa Monica, the People's Republic of Santa Monica, California, the homeless problem there is off the charts. Because it is, people say, well, we have the right to live in the park. We have the right to live on the streets. We're citizens. No, you don't. And this is the premise. There's 2 premises. Premise 1 is we as human beings should not allow our fellow humans, because they may be crazy, they may be self-destructive, they may be shall we say, wired in a crazy way. I don't want to say they're crazy. They're just not wired right. We shouldn't allow them to put themselves in such a desperately dangerous situation, whether it's cold, whether it's warm, or whatever, as to live on the street. So that's one element. That's the liberal element. The conservative element, which I also agree with, is that this is our commonwealth. This is our public property. We all share in it. That's why we call it the street, as opposed to the privacy of your own castle. It is the street. The rich the poor, all of us, we pay taxes. We commonly own the street, the parks, public space. And just as it is illegal to deface public space because you are infringing upon the collective rights and property of the taxpayers, you are also doing the same exact thing by plunking your dirty, ugly body on the sidewalk and smelling up the joint, making it look terrible, making it dangerous, and on top of it, annoying people, reducing the value of property that people deserve to have protected because that's their life, their savings, their investment, their livelihood. And personal property is destroyed by people destroying the public space between the personal property. You own a business, you own a store, you want to have tourists come, you want to be proud of your city. Who gives anybody the right to abuse the rules of the sidewalk, the rules of the park, by turning it into their own stinking bathroom or bedroom? So on one level, we have to be understanding that some of the people are crazy. Some of the people are down on their luck. Some people don't have enough money to pay for a roof. But for the most part, we could solve the problem. And we have to make it a priority. And that's the key. We have to make it a priority fiscally and legally. But we should not allow anybody to set up their homestead in public space. And I take it even further. I think panhandling should be illegal. I think that anybody that comes up to you on the street, hey, buddy, can you give me some money? First of all, 3/4 of them are phony. That, you can tell by the quality of their shoes. You see people, I know in New York City, the city I spend most of my time in these days in terms of an urban area, they're all over the place. They have their crappy little sign, and they may have a baby with them or a dog. And they're younger than you always. They're always in their 20s or 30s. And the sign says, hungry, need food, my baby is starving. And you see they're wearing shoes that cost $35, $40 and they're brand new. And a lot of these people live in apartments in the outer boroughs.
Usually have a cancerette burning, huh?
Well, I just think it's time to end this. We have so many issues in our society, but for whether it's Santa Cruz or whether it's San Francisco or whether it's Santa Monica or New York City, or why are we allowing people to deface public property that we all have ownership in and that we work so hard to protect? Why? Why do we allow that? And why do we allow our fellow human beings who should know better to be in situations that could kill them, that subject them to molestation, to robbery, to attacks, to brutal attacks, and to the elements? The whole thing is stupid. Why do we allow it? So I think a radio station such as KSCO can be at least a forum to discuss this in a way that isn't one-sided, bitter, nasty, sensational, accusing other people, and by all the points that I've just brought out. I think I've just laid out the entire paradigm here, the template of how the discussion should be done. And but I do think it's a priority because I think it's just demoralizing. And it's dangerous, not to mention, as you said, it affects the property value that we've invested in. You should care. If you own property in San Francisco, you own property in Santa Cruz or in the Monterey Bay area or anywhere here in New England where I am, you have every right to care about access on sidewalks and the image of your city and the way it plays and people not being afraid to go downtown if you own a business there. I mean, since when do the people that are working and the people who are investing and the people who are part of what keeps the wheels turning in a society, why should they take backseat to the desires and needs, wishes and habits of people who don't play that game? That's it. What do you have to say?
How do you do it? How do you make homelessness illegal? The first thing that I would think of is what a lot of municipalities have done, and that's make it a crime to camp and to have encampments.
Yeah,
and sleep in your vehicles and things like that. I don't think sleeping in the vehicles is that bad.
No, sleeping in the vehicles is very close to camping. I think that sleeping in the vehicles should be subject to vehicle laws. If a person is in their vehicle and they're illegally parked, well, then you're illegally parked. There are laws and there are violations for where you park, overnight parking, etc. If somebody pulls into your driveway, you own a home, and somebody pulls into your driveway and they're sleeping in their vehicle in your driveway, well, that's trespassing. If they're sleeping in their vehicle on the street in front of your house and all kinds of smells are coming out of the vehicle, noises coming out of the vehicle, anything that disturbs the public outside the border of that vehicle, well, then they're breaking other laws. But sleeping in the park, forget it. There should be rules. This park does not allow camping. This park does not allow vagrancy, loitering.
Okay, I'm good with all that. So, are you saying that what Santa Cruz has done should be better enforced? I guess is what you're saying.
Well, I don't know what Santa Cruz has done. Okay, give me the 1 or 2 minute overview of what the status is, and I'll tell you what I think.
For years, Santa Cruz was criticized by homeless activists for making camping a crime because they don't have any other place. And recently, within the last few months, there was a Boise versus something. City of Boise versus
Idaho.
Yeah, you know about Boise, Idaho. Yeah, there was a court case there that held that upheld the idea that local municipalities who have ordinances against sleeping, outside or in a park or whatever, may not shove people away unless there are nice shelters to shoo them away to.
There should be shelters.
Yeah.
That's part of it.
Because we don't have enough shelters in Santa Cruz, and they don't have enough shelters in San Francisco, okay? So my understanding is that if you have an encampment and the police don't have the right to shut it down, but they've done it recently here.
Yeah, well, they should shut it down. They should shut it down, and they should provide an alternate place for people.
Instead, they shut it down and not provide an alternate place, which is apparently contrary to the law. That's what I'm saying, Michael.
Now that's a different conversation that ties into the whole picture. What do we do about housing for people who don't have it? Well, if it is a reality,
build, baby, build instead of obstruct, baby, obstruct. Right. Which has been the way that this place has been operated for the last 50 years.
All right, well, then there's the problem. So that's part of the discussion, because the solution is building. Now, the counterpoint to that, I know on the East Coast, and it probably is the same on the West Coast, is that the type of people who tend to be homeless tend to turn any kind of public housing or cheap housing or free housing to crap. That they have no pride of ownership, that they're dirty, they're filthy, and they are criminal. And you know something? To a great extent, that's a true argument. So that has to be figured out. That has to be figured out as well. People say, I would rather sleep on the street than go to a shelter. Why? Because the shelters are dangerous. They rob me of whatever possessions I have. They're dirty, and they're degrading. So there's another problem. I'm not saying this is a simple solution, but you've got to put all the problems on the table next to each other and then work on them in a manner that they're all in harmony so that you finally get the thing fixed. It's going to take years to do this. Homelessness goes all the way back to the beginning of time. If you read mythology, you read stories of the past, there was always the town beggar, the beggars. It was almost a profession. And that's why begging also has to be eliminated. You're starving to death.
You know what
There's
happened?
A place to get food.
I was in China a little more than a year ago, where their whole economy runs on WeChat Pay. Right? I mean, I don't even think cash exists there. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but even the beggars accept WeChat Pay. It's true. Yeah. It's true. Anyhow, all right. So, of course, it's a complex issue, and all the more reason for this to be a cause celeb for KSCO.
I think it should be a cause for every radio station. As a matter of fact, I predict that within the next few years it'll be a major issue, because it's a major issue in people's minds. The problem is many people just accept it as part of life. They don't stop and realize the absurdity when you're walking down the street. You're walking down the street in an area that is a major part of commerce and business and society, and there's somebody laying on the sidewalk covered in filth with newspapers, and they smell, and they're begging for money. And I'm not saying that's not a human being. I'm saying that is a human being. That's what's so disgusting about it. Would you allow an animal to lay there on the ground with bleeding and with all kinds of horrible fluids coming out of its body in the middle of a street? No, they would come and they'd take it to a shelter. We treat animals better than we treat these people. But these people have rights animals don't have, and that's where we get into trouble. So, but, you know, I think it's provocative. I hope that people listening to this have been inspired to either get angry or agree or think about it. And I hope that you continue.
That's part of the problem why people we received so many emails about a particular host who's very vocal about her thoughts. She has great experience on the street herself.
But what is her position? What is her basic position? That we should allow people to be on the streets?
You know, I know. I feel ashamed because I hear. Yeah, I didn't listen to the programs. I listened to. The position is that when she was attacked by callers on the radio, and she was not an experienced host who would be better prepared to deflect those kinds of attacks. Right?
What were the attacks? What was the basis?
You're a terrible person because you're always going around threatening to sue people. And she says she threatens to sue people who slander her, who say bad things about her that are untrue. That's the idea, that's what germinated the idea in my head about doing this program all about smearing. Okay.
Well, smearing is a subject that you could smear from one end of the spectrum to the other. It's a very complicated topic with lots of angles to it.
Yes.
But what was her position on homelessness? That's what I'm trying to get. What is her position on homelessness that would make people angry?
I don't think it was her position on homelessness that made people angry. I think it was her personality that made people angry. That she's very okay, Keith. God dang it, you know.
I know you weren't going to have
here.
Okay.
Michael asked a question that I couldn't answer, but you can, so answer it.
Okay, her position was that
Who am I talking? Who is Keith?
This is Keith McHenry. He's the co-founder of Food Not Bombs.
Yeah, I've been feeding people on the streets.
How did you just
40
pop
years.
up there? How did you just pop up there? Are you in the studio?
He's in the studio.
I'm in the studio.
He's been. Never mind. Just answer.
Okay.
Answer Michael's question.
I'm just interested to know who I'm talking to. This is fascinating.
Yeah. So I've been.
Go ahead, Keith. Go ahead.
Well, I'm a co-founder in Boston of Food Not Bombs, and I've been doing it for 40 years. And I've been on this homeless myself a number of times, including in the winter in Boston, which was a nightmare. And so there's two basic points I'd want to make about this. So Alicia's idea, which is common, is that the solution to homelessness is housing, which is something you mentioned, and that really
build, baby, build.
And so back in the when I started feeding people, I actually set up a street performance in front of the Federal Reserve Bank of Boston on Atlantic Avenue, where we're going to dress up like hobos, saying that the policies of the bank and the board of directors could lead to a future where people would have to be standing in line to seek food at a soup kitchen. And I actually went to the Pine Street Inn, which you might know for New England, which was on Pine Street. And I told the people about the protest at the inn, and they came and they said, "There's no food for homeless people on the streets of Boston. Can you do this every day?" And then I quit my job as a produce worker at a natural food store in Central Square, Cambridge, and did that. And now I've done that for 40 years.
Wow, God bless you. What a great endeavor. You're feeding starving people. That's fantastic.
Yeah, in over 1,000 cities and over 65 countries.
But that's not the solution to the problem. That's
No.
a temporary solution for people who are starving, which is, I'm not diminishing that at all. I think that's great. But you would agree that that's not the ultimate answer to the issue. The issue is to eradicate homelessness.
Correct.
And,
Well,
or to,
yeah. Well, and so the thing is that really, back then we had
public housing, which was poorly designed and horrible for the people that had to live in it. But that's why we had so many less homeless people in 1980 than we do today. And so that there is an actual way. I mean, we have some projects here in Santa Cruz which are fantastic, like nearing housing and stuff that are.
Well, where do you
beautiful.
stand, Keith? Where do you stand though on people trespassing? We'll use that word on public property under the excuse that I'm homeless, so it's okay for me to sleep on the sidewalk, or it's okay for me to camp in a park where it says right there on a sign, nobody allowed in here after dark, or whatever.
So my position is that people have no place to go. They have no physical place to be. And so the only other alternative they have to being on the streets and public streets is to disappear completely into the vapors. And they can't. They're human beings. They can't. They either have to commit suicide or live on a street. That's their choice right now. And that's
I got you. Now, if I were, if let's assume that they are people like you. They're homeless for a reason. They're not homeless because they're mentally ill. Because there are mentally ill people who are homeless that just are there because they can't figure. But people that are down on their luck, they have no place to go. Would you agree with me that it's the society's responsibility to build some type of place to put them? And then we deal with them there. We sort them out as to those that are good citizens in these places, or we figure out how long they could be there. But to get them off the street and get food in their bellies is the priority, and to create a place and to create food for them. As you say, food, not bombs. What you're saying is we are not prioritizing our budgets to take in this issue that is as, if not more important than many of the things we, if you pardon the expression, piss away tax dollars on for political and other reasons. Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, the thing is that with, of the federal income tax, half of that goes to funding our military. And, my family, I'm a descendant of the founder of the U.S. military, Dr. James McHenry. So I'm not opposed to there being a U.S. military, but I think one less aircraft carrier could go a long way to providing jobs for people building housing. Now, a lot of the people that live on the streets are actually people who at one point or another were building housing and then injured themselves or got laid off. I mean, I've helped people get off the streets that were great. I have one friend, Bob, who's a great carpenter, but he had stroke and a heart attack, and now he lives in Santa Cruz, and he doesn't use drugs, and I know many, many people like that. But I also say, if you become homeless, you're going to have post-traumatic stress disorder right away, because every time I meet a person who just became homeless, they come to our meal, you can see they have this look of horror. They don't know what they're going to do the next night. And it would be it's very hard to be emotionally stable and be told to move from here to here to here, have your belongings taken by either the police, public works, or other people living on the street.
Then you know as well as anybody that the society has to create a system by which these people are tended to in a humane way that does not encourage them to be whatever it was that led them to that point.
Well, what encouraged them, sadly, is been a huge number of people that I meet get priced out of their apartments. That's one thing. Or the other thing that I find is people, right now, a huge number of women who are getting divorced at later years in their age are now finding themselves living in cars, unable to pay out here. You can't smog your car. So within about 6 months of living in your car's towed, and then you're in a doorway. And then you're being raped, and I have so many women have come to me that say they were sexually assaulted, they were raped in their first weeks of living in a doorway after their car was towed, after they got a divorce. I have this, and the other thing, I think there's a very interesting book called Homewrecker that just recently came out. And there was a study, the group of people, including the Secretary of Treasury and the Secretary of Commerce, were involved in researching how people profited off the savings and loan crisis in the 90s. And I was very active in dealing with that issue at that time. And they decided that they would they would take advantage of a housing foreclosure crisis. And Obama has a huge role in this, in that he could have actually provided funding to homeowners to pay their mortgages, and those mortgages would have been paid to the very banks that needed to be bailed out, and there had been a huge much less homeless people. But there are 8 million houses were foreclosed on during that period of time, and a huge number of them are owned by venture capitalists. They're not owned by individual property owners. And I've owned property. I know what it's like to get a mortgage, to go through all that. I went from being homeless in Kansas City, Missouri, to owning a condo within 12 months. So I know how to do that kind of stuff, and people do that. But these are the people that are living on the streets. There's just as many criminals that are living in houses as there are living.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt. At least the criminals are not peeing on the sidewalk.
But that's because.
Or ruining the property values by just creating an eyesore.
Yeah, but they don't have. They don't have a choice though. People do not have a choice. That's the sad part.
You've really presented a very positive and constructive picture. I appreciate what you're saying. I have no argument with you whatsoever.
Yeah, we don't want.
If anything, I salute you. I don't think you've got the total solution, because I don't think anybody does. But I do believe that at least you're out there helping people, and you're bringing up these issues. I have one more question I'd like to ask you, and that is: you say you were homeless. How did you get out of being homeless when you were on the street?
Well, I've been homeless 5 times.
All right,
mostly from health crises. But let's see not the last time, at the time before that, the one I was in Kansas City, Missouri. I answered an ad for a job. It turned out the guy was a complete crook, but he paid me $750 a week cash, which was good, designing a drag queen magazine in Kansas City, Missouri. And my vehicle died, fortunately, next to a vacant lot, so then I wasn't bothering anybody. And then after I got my first check, I put a deposit on an apartment nearby, and I asked the guy if I could sleep in the storage bin until the guy who was moving out moved out, and slowly got back on my feet. And then it was, so that's how I got off the street. And I do I always get a Y card. I get I pay for the YMCA, or in the case here, I pay for 24-hour fitness, and so I always have a place to get a shower. So there's strategies of being homeless where you don't look homeless and so on. And if you go to 24-hour fitness here in Santa Cruz, California, in the morning, I don't know, maybe 20 of the people that are in there are doing exercise, taking showers, swimming, are people I feed that are homeless.
Oh wow! I'm sure the owners of that place are happy to hear this.
Yeah, they don't even I mean.
Oh my gosh!
So that's what people do. So the thing is though that it's
they pay their membership. What do they?
Yeah, they pay their membership, and they don't
cause any problems.
And no one even knows they're homeless.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
I understand.
So that anyway. So now I want to also mention what an MZ. So the thing on attacking Alicia's, this is so there was several. There's a couple that's apparently drinks a lot of alcohol, and they live in a house.
No names, please.
Yeah, I don't know their names, and so they came to her RV, which was parked in an area that was not by anybody's houses, and they came there in the middle of the night, and she has 3 children and a husband. Very little kids, and they started pushing on her RV and screaming that they were going to kill her. And so then those same people posted on Facebook that they should kill her, and there became like a large amount of postings in that community about how they could burn her RV down, they could poison her, they could do this, and this went on, and this has gone on for over a year, and this is before she was even all that well known as a homeless advocate. And so I had the fortune, I don't know why it died down, but I had that for a long time. It was like
people were attacking you.
Yeah, on Facebook and so on. And my then girlfriend, there was they ran this huge campaign to call her boss to have her fired. They called us a huge amount of nasty names. They dumped stuff in front of the apartment that I was then renting. They tried to get I for a long time lived in a van. I didn't think of myself actually as homeless, even though I spent 7 years living in a really cool G20 conversion van, but they tried to have it towed repeatedly. At one point, a homeowner called the police, and I almost got shot by a cop in the living room of my own apartment I was paying rent for because they, so this is what is going on. And then the people that live outside in Santa Cruz.
I'm going to jump in. I'm going to be leaving in a couple of minutes, so you've hijacked the show from me. But
no problem.
the only reason I want to let you know one thing before I leave.
No problem. Sorry
that
about
I let you hijack the show from me because you're an interesting guy, you're bright, and I kind of believe in your cause. But I want to give you some advice. You talk too much, and that'll be a turnoff to us.
What happened?
Forums. Nothing.
No. You were gone for 8 seconds there, Michael.
Maybe I was censored.
So say it. No, you weren't.
No. It's just some glitch happened.
Yeah. Say what you said in the last 10 seconds, please.
Next time I'm on.
Okay. All right. Okay.
I've already decided I don't want to say what I said. No,
Okay.
I basically said that Keith should be more mindful of others when he's having this discussion, so as not to invite hostility toward him simply because in a discussion of this nature, you should let everybody talk. When you start telling stories, and then you start telling more stories, and then you start telling more stories that are off the track of the major subject, it really isn't serving your cause very well. So I pointed out that I agree with him and I support him, but I was the guest, and he wound up jumping in and talking for many minutes nonstop, and I've got to go now. So that's all. I'm just saying, be a little more mindful, Keith, about radio etiquette.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thanks.
Okay.
Michael, thank you. We will talk when we talk next.
You got it.
Take care, Michael.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So, Michael is a real stickler for, etiquette and so forth.
Right.
So,
no, that's understandable.
He asked me we weren't going to have you on. He asked me a question, and you had the answer, and I didn't. So that's why you were on.
Right.
And I don't think you took over, but we did, talking about the about what's happened to you and how you were smeared is something that we're going to talk about all next hour, because that was what the promo was about.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate this. He brought up a lot of interesting ideas.
He's a really, really bright guy.
Yeah.
He really is.
Yeah.
And I take a lot of his advice.
Yeah. Yeah, and he had a lot of he seems to be very, very open-minded, really. Even if I didn't agree with some of his ideas, he was really gracious and accepting my ideas, and I thought that was beautiful.
Okay. So Keith McHenry belongs to that voice. No, that voice belongs to Keith McHenry. You've heard Keith on a number of times. He was the host of a program that was the working title was originally Voice of the Homeless, or Voices of the Homeless. It somehow got changed to Concrete Bed or Cement Bed or something like that. And then there was nothing, because there was some political, goings on that made us figure we need to regroup. We don't know what the future of that particular program is. We do at KSCO certainly want to do anything that we can to improve the homelessness situation in our community. So with that, Josh, thank you for running a wonderful first hour.
I try.
Yeah, and thank you in advance for the second hour that I know that you're going to run as the pilot in command here. And so, from right after the news, which will come up in about 25 seconds or so, we'll be back for another whole hour.
And we'll actually take callers.
We will be taking callers, and I do want people to call in with their smear stories. If they maybe there'll be a lot of them. Maybe there'll be none of them. So how do I know that it's hour number 2?
Oh, hello, darling. I hate to hang up on you, but
something's missing here. Don't we usually do the weather? You know, at 05, don't we usually do that?
We normally do, but my log does not call for that.
Oh, okay, forget it then.
I'm sorry, baby, but I really gotta go to KSCO Radio. Bye.
Like the script says to ad lib. All right, welcome to hour number 2 of the KSCO Saturday Special. Oh. You know what? Josh, you're great. You get a pass for this. When you load up the program elements, if there is a promo, it needs to go in here. It's not in here. I was going to play it, realizing that we didn't play it at the beginning of last hour like we should have. So let's play it now. Can you bring it up? 122 Smear, I think it's called.
Yes, 122
okay.
Smear.
Yeah, here. So you'll bring it up and play it, okay?
All right, we're playing
3, 2, 1.
Have you ever been smeared? That is, had unpleasant and untrue rumors or accusations spread about you that were designed to damage your reputation? I was smeared once, back in 1995, by an organization I and my family had strongly supported for years, the Anti-Defamation League, or ADL. They painted me and KSCO as bad and hateful people just because we dared to interview members of the Citizens Militia in the wake of the Oklahoma City Federal Building bombing. I was powerless to defend myself, and to this day believe that the Anti-Defamation League are smear masters who, if they were honest, would change their name to the Defamation League. These days, smearing has become a way of life for many people and groups, most notably those who purport to be anti-hate, but who in fact are hypocrites and are indeed as or more hateful than anyone. Suppose your business is falsely or unjustly smeared in an online review. It happens all the time. What is your recourse? Is there any recourse for smearing? Let's discuss this on the next KSCO special this Saturday, 10 a.m. to 12 noon, right here on Let's Discover or Invent an Effective Smear Antidote Radio, FM 104.1 and AM 1080 KSCO.
Okay, so with the whole first hour leading up to this, we're finally going to get into this topic today, believe it or not. We really are. Let's see, we have Andres in Capitola who has solutions for homeless and smearing. Ooh, a twofer. But before we do that, we're going to do the second in a series of special visits from our official KSCO and ZBS Director of Digital Media. Wait a minute. Wait. Let me do this right. Here we go. Ready?
Rolling out the red carpet.
Jaunty. Hi, Jaunty.
Hey, MZ. Hi.
Jaunty, for those of you who don't know, is short for Jonathan McCollier. Okay, and friends get to call him Jaunty, and everybody in the KSCO listening audience is a friend, right, Jaunty?
Absolutely.
Okay, good. So you and I came up with something last week, right before the last Saturday special, that we should have come up with, 7 or 8 years ago, and that is a visit from you to let us know, to let us and our audience know that, we really are in the 21st century. You don't think, because we don't talk about it very much, and we need to start doing that. And so we decided to have you come on for a segment right after the hour 2 intro with that sexy babe, talking about having to hang up and because the great radio show is on. Anyhow, Jaunty, what is new with our app? what is new with our podcasts, what is new with the new website that you put up in advance of this show on smearing. Fill us in.
Well, we do have an interesting little. You and I were kind of batting around some ideas of what we could do, what sort of possible technological sort of a solution we could come up with to aid people who've been smeared. And it'd be great if. I hope you've been. I guess you're just getting to talking about smearing now at the second hour, but. I hope that for the remainder of the second hour, you can refer people to unsmear.com for anybody that's been smeared and they're looking for some kind of recourse. Folks, there's organizations like Snopes and things like that. There's lots of reasons to be critical of those groups who purport to provide the truth and then sometimes do it in a somewhat slanted way. But the basic premise. The basic premise there is sound, and there might be ways for us to create. There's definitely ways for us to create a system that works for folks who've been smeared to try and defend their good name. The go-to place to do that, So when somebody discovers that their narcissist friend or spouse or whatever it is has gone on to social media and said all kinds of nasty things about them, they can refer people to the post on unsmear.com that clears up what actually happened there.
Maybe it should be a law. Maybe we should talk to our congressman about requiring that if somebody's going to smear somebody, that there must be a disclaimer that's included saying, for the other side of this argument, go to unsmear.com. That'll become a huge database of people who have been smeared to tell their side of the story and correct the record.
Well, you
let's talk to Congressman Panetta about that, okay?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. We'll have him on and do that. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Jonty. Go ahead.
You mentioned the Anti-Defamation League in your promo. And I find it interesting. I love that you call them the Defamation League. That just cracks me up. But
it wasn't meant to be funny. It's meant to be honest. They should be honest about who they are. They defame other people in the name of being anti-defaming.
That they're
very, 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 very bad people.
They're one of the folks that YouTube uses as a quote-unquote trusted flagger to help monitor online content, to help make sure that everybody on YouTube is not saying anything whatever it is, inflammatory or hateful or
hateful they're according to their definition. I don't think anybody's more hateful than themselves.
Well, maybe we should call them the Defecation League instead of the Defamation League.
Okay, so it sounds like you are you agreeing with me about them? I mean, I'm not looking to be agreed with. I just want people to hear from you on a regular basis to start using a lot of the resources that we've had available at KSCO for years, but have been too stupid to continuously remind people. So as a result, there are a lot of digital-minded, computer-savvy people who don't even know that we have these resources available, and that's our fault, not theirs. So that's why we're having you on a regular basis.
Do you want to hear my blurb? I wrote a blurb for the Saturday special specifically with regards to digital et al.
Sure.
Okay, you can tell me if you like or not like, and I can obviously change it, but I was thinking that this could be my little blurb. So here goes. If you're a fan of the Saturday Special, why not be a super fan? Visit SaturdaySpecial.com and discover all the ways you can listen or participate. Subscribe to the Saturday Special YouTube channel for weekly shows and promos. Listen to the podcast on iTunes or Google Play, and subscribe to the newsletter for the inside scoop. That's SaturdaySpecial.com. Kind of hard to forget. There really isn't another show like it. But I'll say it one more time. Visit SaturdaySpecial.com.
I love it, Jaunty.
Cool. Well, we can always
I
add
wouldn't
things
change a
to it.
word.
Yes, that's what I wanted to hear, MZ.
God dang. That's great. So anyhow, so you're making the Saturday Special be a podcast. We deserve to have more subscribers than 3. You know, we really do, because we're damn good. I'm not fishing for compliments anymore. I'll compliment myself. It's okay. We do a damn good show, and it's engaging, and it's fun, and it's real. You know.
Well, MZ,
And we even have people regularly scold us on the air, and we treat them with dignity and respect. Now, if they attack us on the air, that's different. I'm sort of like Trump. If I get attacked, if I get punched, I'll punch back 10 times harder. And that's what Alicia does too, by the way. You know, and I like those kind of people, starting most with our president. I think that's cool. Why shouldn't someone who's been viciously attacked and wrongly attacked not respond tenfold, you know, in defense? Sorry, Jaunty, it's your segment, and I've monopolized that. What would Michael Harrison say? He would scold the hell out of me.
Oh, he's cringing right now.
Yeah.
I wish I didn't miss him. He's one of my favorite people in the world to have a conversation with.
Yeah.
But MZ, you know, it's not 3. Last time I checked, it was 9. And that's after having mentioned it briefly once.
It's still, well,
it's not 900, but it'll get there.
And it's not 9,000, and it's not 90,000, and it's not 900,000, and it's not 9 million, but it should be. But we have nobody but ourselves to blame, and I'm not including you. I'm going to correct that. We have no one but me to blame. When the fish stinks, it stinks from the head.
Well, let's stop stinking, MZ. Just say to your audience, please go to SaturdaySpecial.com, sign up for the newsletter, make MZ's day. You're going to get the promos. You're going to get the opportunity to communicate with MZ about what's going on. You just hit reply to the newsletter, and you've got an inside channel to MZ's inbox.
So wait a second. Who's going to write MZ's newsletter? Are you? I hope you are, because I'm not.
Did you get it? I sent it out. Just you haven't subscribed to your own newsletter? Oh, MZ.
See, like I said, when the fish stinks, it stinks from the head. Do as I say, not as I do. God.
Okay, well,
I should be in a cage. I really should. I don't deserve to be free.
We'll summon you to the Dave Cave.
Oh, hey, look, MZ, I got to get a little girl to a keto event, so I should run.
Oh, well, I monopolized the time. Well, we'll see you next. Saturday, Jaunty. Okay.
Awesome, MZ. Looking forward.
And guess who's going to be on? Non-Sue is going to be on next week. Not the non-Sue, not just a non-Sue. That's all I'm going to say. Thank you, Jaunty.
Cheers, MZ.
Here's Andres in Capitola. What are your solutions? This is a double, I think, 2-time award winner for best caller on the Saturday Special. Andres.
Stop smearing me, please. You remember why I got those awards. It wasn't anything very honorable. It was just being a jack.
Really?
Jackass. Yeah. It was nothing all that great. It was just pulling pharmacist Ben Fuchs' leg about the silly subjects he was talking about. But anyways, the solutions. A few things while I was on hold. The SPLC and the ADL are both considered authorities in knowledge of hate groups. So not only are they working with companies like Google, like Jaunty was talking about, Google, YouTube, whatever, all the socials. But from what I know, many police agencies, local and federal, use them as an authority for knowledge on hate groups. So one solution to take away some of their power, I mean, we can't really affect their relationship between themselves and a private company, But you, the private citizen, can always contact your local police agency and ask them, what do you use? What kind of material do you use for hate crimes?
Hey, we're gonna be able to do that, not on the next Saturday special that will have non-sue, but the following Saturday special, which will have Santa Cruz Chief of Police Andy Mills.
So,
yeah.
You might be able to ask him there on the spot, what do you use? Who provides your literature for hate crimes? And not that you should right away start attacking them for using it, but you can review it. You can ask for a copy of it. And then if you find anything that doesn't line up with what you think is truth, then you challenge it and you offer to submit your own version of what the truth is. So that's one solution to taking away their power and stopping the smearing from them. Also, just sticks and stones, man. I know it can affect you financially sometimes, but I've been smeared, but I'm not going to tell you the story because why make light of it, or why bring it to the light?
But if you don't mention names, why not?
It could be entertaining, but here's one thing that happened. I was actually accused of smearing recently, and it has to do with the topic that you're talking about, but I didn't actually smear anyone. I was part of a group on Facebook that included Alicia as one of the moderators, and there was a post made. And the post from her said, and this is not a quote, so don't sue me about it. This is just a little summary of it. It said, "We're tired of the hate. We've had too much hate. It's time to move on from the hate. And if you are friends with anyone who is hateful, please leave or we will kick you out." And when I saw that, I called it out because to me, that's why wait for Chinese social credit, police.
Yeah.
If amongst ourselves we're creating these what do you call them, the tunnels, the echo chambers, and we're creating these amongst ourselves, I see what you do as providing the opposite of that. You provide a chance for everyone in the community to step up on your soapbox and share what we think. But the complete opposite is happening online, and maybe it was done out of maybe something really bad, really hateful had just happened, but the way that it was worded, I called it out. And for calling it out, I was accused of smearing, and I was kicked out of the group. And I was just there to try to figure out solutions for the homeless. So that's my part on the smear. And then solution on the homeless problem. It's not the solution, but if they're going to say that they're in the public ground, and they have the right to be there because it's public ground, I kind of agree with them. I agree that if you're in the public there and you're part of the public, that trespassing is like an oxymoron. How do you trespass onto public land if you are the public? So, but on top of that, there is no privacy in public. There is no expected privacy in public land. So one solution that I have to not homelessness, but criminality amongst the homeless is installing either cameras or having cameras that are surveilling the situation and that are accessible to everyone in the public. So like that, yeah, you might not have any privacy, but you're in the public, and maybe you'll think twice before you break the law. Maybe you'll think twice before you litter. And it could turn into a clown act, but at the same time, we would know who are the clowns, and we could deal with them individually.
Would you be available to be the anti-homeless czar?
What? Anti-homeless? You mean like
anti-homelessness czar? I should say. Yeah. Excuse me.
For who?
Totally
Working
different
for who?
meetings. I don't know. We'll figure that out later.
Absolutely, especially if it's
good.
Trump.
Good. Yeah. So you like Trump?
Well, I like what he says he's for.
Yes.
I find him entertaining.
So do I. Yeah. Yeah.
So I heard he's looking for a czar.
Do you think maybe you should be the czar for him? Because there's money there for sure. We'd have to raise it. By the way, what do you think about MAGA? About the Dave Cave selling MAGA hats with KSCO logos?
I think you would get sued by Trump for copyright infringement, but it's overall a good idea. You could tweak it and make Santa Cruz great again, or make Santa Cruz clean again.
No, we're supporting Trump. I personally believe that Time Magazine should have made him the Person of the Year every year since 2016. I'm gonna do it right now. I proclaim President Trump KSCO's retroactively, not only KSCO's Person of the Year for 2016, but for 2017, 2018, 2019, and probably 2020, which hasn't even started yet. But that's what I'm doing right now. I can't do it for 2020 because, it hasn't happened. But I'm just saying probably for 2020. But I do have the power and the desire, and from the deepest parts of my heart, sincerity, to award Donald Trump, the President of the United States, the Person of the Year award for 2016, 2017, 2018, and 2019. And I hereby do it. Proudly. Thank you, Andres. Are you done?
Well, I'm done. I wish you well.
Okay, thank you for calling 479-1080. Okay, there's nobody there. Now, for people who called last hour, they were frustrated, but I didn't invite calls. And in fact, I said we weren't taking any calls at one point, I think at the beginning.
They might have missed the memo.
Yeah. But there's no calls now, and we're inviting calls. And so please call 479-1080. Stick to the topic that we did with the I got up very early in the morning on Friday to write that promo and produce it at World Headquarters and send it through the internet down to KSCO, where they played it every hour. And I'm very, very interested in people who have been smeared to tell the story. You can leave out names. We don't expect you to do that. But I want to, just like I want to come up with a good solution for the homelessness problem, I want to come up with a good solution for smearing. Okay, Keith. Yeah.
Yeah. Hi. I have one brief smearing story that I think will be somewhat entertaining. I feed the hungry in San Francisco, and on the weekends, my wife and I would go to Bolinas to hang out with some art friends of ours that were renting. And the story started happening that the reason we were vegan is I sold all the meat to buy a mansion in Marin. So then I'm out in Dallas, Texas, talking, and they say, hey, Keith McHenry's going to speak at the garage tonight. And this man stands next to me and said, oh, I know that guy. He sold all the meat so he could buy a mansion in Marin.
He didn't realize that he was talking to the guy himself. Huh?
Correct. And then years later, I'm like in New Mexico, and a guy goes, oh, yeah, I know that guy. He's talking to me. He sold all the meat and bought a mansion in Marin. So that's very common with people that feed the hungry, that they're accused of being millionaires, which actually, if you're a millionaire feeding the hungry, you should be applauded. Then the other thing is I encourage people to Google, if you're interested in the ADL situation. I was a target of the ADL, and I have 750 pages of surveillance by them in my archives at the University of Victoria, which you can get online. So they it turned out there, and you can also Google Tom Gerard, Roy Bullock spy scandal and read all about it. So, they do a lot more than just smear people. They actually try to disrupt your life, and that's what they were doing in that particular
case. That's what they did to me.
Yeah.
And I was powerless. I was so... I never felt so powerless and so... There's no better word. There's no better word than powerless. I couldn't do anything about it.
Yeah, well, I just put, fortunately, I happened to be in an elevator in the federal building in San Francisco when these lawyers turned to me and my lawyers and said, oh, you should check this out. And what was going on with the ADL was paying a person named Roy Bullock, or Cal Bullock, to infiltrate all kinds of groups and sell documents to all kinds of other surveillance organizations. And then Tom Gerard was the reason this came up was a state assembly person happened to have money and found out that his motor vehicle records were being remotely altered, and this happened to myself. And so what I would have is every year when I had to register my truck in March, I'd have $5,000-$6,000 worth of parking tickets, and they weren't. And it turned out that Tom Gerard was actually remotely.
Who is that person?
He turned out to be San Francisco Police Intelligence. And when he got convicted of this, he ended up going to the Philippines, and that's where he lives currently. And he just recently was interviewed, angry that he had this problem. Before that, he had been in El Salvador with CIA, and he's that's just what he does for a living. That's what he was doing, and it wasn't his fault, actually. He was charged with doing that, and so a lot of people
he was just doing his job, man.
Just doing his job, and that's the way it is. And so that's the kind of thing that happens. But social media, that's just the word of mouth type of smearing. But the social media makes it so much worse, and because people feel like they're, although sadly some of the people attacking Alicia online also attacked her in person, both at her residence, which is an RV, and at city council, which is unfortunate and shouldn't happen. And we have been passing all that information was passed on to Andy Mills. And we continue to give it to Andy Mills, the chief of police of Santa Cruz, and to the district attorney's office. And fortunately, one of the worst death threats was actually a person that Andy said didn't live here, so he was unlikely to be able to kill Alicia. But then my partner pointed out that was what they told her coworker, and but the person from Boston came all the way here and then killed her two parents in their house, even though the police in San Jose said, oh, well, he's in Boston, there's nothing going to happen.
In San Jose?
Yeah, and it was an unfortunate situation that her co-worker's parents were killed by a disgruntled, jilted lover who happened to be in Boston, but took the energy to go all the way to San Jose to kill her parents.
Okay, it's getting...
So that's the thing. That's the danger of the smear campaigns.
My head explode here. 479-1080. If you have a smear story or an idea to, combat smearing, that's what we would like to do, just like we would like to combat homelessness. Please call us at 479-1080 or email mz@ksco.com. We have a caller, Gray in Aptos. Hi, Gray. You're on KSCO.
Hey, he told me I was second.
You were.
Hi, Keith.
The first person hung up.
Hi, Gray.
Oh. After listening to the first hour, I got a sickening feeling. I a couple Saturdays ago, maybe, it seems like the last caller is always negative, and negative towards Keith. And then this guy, Michael, I don't know who he is, but, man, he really downed Keith before he left. I thought Keith was doing everything asked, ask him a question. But
well,
on the
in defense of Michael, I should have known better. I'll take the hit for that. It sounds like he was scolding him. He was really scolding me, I think, for letting Keith go on and on. All Keith was asked to come on for is to answer Michael's question that I was doing a very poor job of answering, and that was, what is Alicia's position on homelessness?
Yeah.
And I said, okay, Keith, that's all. So, but then Keith launched into this business about how he's been smeared. That had nothing to do with what he was asked for.
Yeah.
And so Michael, I love Michael, and he was absolutely right. He should have chastised me on my own show instead of the guest.
Oh, I think he actually asked me another question, which I answered, which took up a lot of time, which was, so I was just answering his direct question, which, but I, he's got a, he booked himself for 30 minutes, and he wanted to be on
I
for
think,
30
and
minutes.
I do disagree with him, too. I think, Keith, you have the answers like the national people do. One thing, I wanted to say is, maybe 3 weeks ago there was a show on freedom of speech, and then I hear that Alicia was taken off the show, which I didn't know about. I didn't hear it advertised, and so I thought, well, that would be impeding on her freedom of speech.
No, she doesn't have freedom of speech. She has freedom of speech as far as the government is concerned. Freedom of speech, and no one seems to understand this.
Yeah.
I can't, no matter what I do, I can't seem to get even smart, talented people like Gray and Aptos to understand that freedom of speech does not include freedom to have a free show on a commercial radio station. I have not had anything to do with curtailing Alicia's freedom of speech to be a host on KSCO. She has no freedom of speech. End of story, and neither does Keith.
Yeah,
neither does anybody unless I decide that I want them on my commercial radio station. It's as simple as that. Don't give me the abridging someone's freedom of speech argument, because it's bull bleep, and it's wrong.
It's government,
and it's stupid. And it's wrong. And so.
Yeah, no, I mean, that is a common misunderstanding, that it's actually, if it's a corporation, they have control
or
of whatever.
Private company or anything. Privately owned.
Yeah,
which is what KSCO is. I choose to run it this way. And if people don't like the way I run it, don't listen. You don't have to listen. No one's chaining you.
Okay, it's a government thing. I understand that, but I'm just saying that the people that get on your online and bag the people on your show, that's what I'm saying. I disagree with.
Yeah, but it is.
But
yeah, so the thing is with the U.S. Constitution, the U.S. government can't come in and tell MZ that he can't say X, Y, Z. The government.
Oh
can't.
yeah, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. I'm just maybe I worded it wrong. The people that get negative and say I'm not going to listen to your program if you have Alicia or whoever on.
That's
then,
fine.
Like you say,
that's their prerogative.
They don't have to listen. Yeah, because there's so many people negative against even Keith, and I hear him on the radio. I hear him calling in, and I disagree with that. That's the people that are smearing that I disagree with.
Yeah, well, the whole thing of hate and anger and stuff is gotten worse and worse. And this kind, the reality is the people that support Trump are hardworking people, just like the people that don't support Trump. And we really should be united in trying to make our nation a great place and not be fighting each other. But it's really, it's been useful for people in Facebook or whatever to get people going back and forth on each other, because then you look at it more and you read more, and then they get to sell more of their data to people, and it's to their advantage. But we should be really united, because we're all working people. Even people many people that live outside are working people. I mean, it takes $37 an hour paycheck to rent a one-bedroom apartment in Santa Cruz. And many people that are washing our dishes and growing our food, harvesting our food, they don't make $37 an hour, and they can't afford an apartment.
Nowhere near, right?
Yeah.
And one solution I keep on saying, it reminds me of the movie First Blood. All the people in the audience are for that guy, but in reality, a lot of them would be calling the police. He said they drew first blood. He just wanted to be left alone. And I think if you leave people alone, because some people will be pulled over or harassed just because they look, quote unquote, look like a homeless. And it's like, I don't like to be at gunpoint because I look homeless one day in the dark or something. Anyway, I didn't want to make you guys mad, but I was just saying that if people shouldn't smear and call you and complain and threaten to not listen to your radio program. If they're negative people, then probably don't want them listening to. So have a good day, both of you.
We'll see you, Gray, at hopefully this afternoon. Okay.
Bye-bye. Thanks. Bye.
Okay, thank you. So let's see. I'm going to learn. Hold on a second. Okay. I don't like to read long things. I like to read short things. This is sort of a long thing, but it's from a special friend who has a lot of thoughts on the issue of homelessness and and I think of smearing too. Hiya, Michael. Greetings from Montana. Since you aren't taking phone calls, that was last hour. He can call now if he wants, but I'm sneakily going around the immediate problem you have created for me. Laugh out loud. Homelessness. So here's the deal, at least for Santa Cruz. You are not going to ever solve the homeless problem with progressives in power. And this fact is summed up best by 3 or 4 facts. First fact, for democratic socialists, DSAs, to survive and thrive in a capitalistic world, they must have the power to continually effect social change, in quotes. This right out of Mike Rotkin's thesis, UCSC Intro to Marxism and Community Studies, some 40 years ago. What does that mean? It means that these DSAs must actively create situations where capitalism is on visual trial and always in the face of citizens to continually see capitalism's perceived failings against the downtrodden. Second, in Santa Cruz, homelessness is desperately needed by UCSC students and curriculums, I think it should be curriculi, like community studies related to the community. And sadly, the more the merrier. These students need work experience. These curriculi are very popular. DSAs in power also need homeless nonprofits to feed that need tremendously. And guess what? UCSC via Rotkin and others have devised a way for Santa Cruzans to pay much of UCSC's curriculum in this area through huge added local taxation to keep this whole DSA city bureaucracy and nonprofit scams going and growing, not just homelessness. Third, and this brings us to the money. Millions upon millions of dollars per year are collected by city and county coffers and nonprofits to feed the trough. If you solve the homeless problem, all that money, all of those activism jobs, all those student internships, all of the visual stimulation of the poor downtrodden to promote why socialism for everyone is needed, well, it all goes away. So in essence, the politically powerful in Santa Cruz do not want to solve the homeless problem. Don't want to solve the homeless problem. They want it to grow. Fourth and finally, just like with Field of Dreams, if you feed them, clothe them, give them free medical care, good weather, and let them do their business, be it camping or begging or crapping in the streets, they will come. And what does that mean? More money. So you want to solve the homeless problem in Santa Cruz, Michael? I say good luck with that. Wishing you all and all your listeners and all of my old listeners a very Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. By the way, for those listeners who use Echo products like Dot, all I have to do is say, Alexa, wait for the ding, play radio station KSCO AM 1080 from Santa Cruz, and you pop right up. How about that? Steve, you don't even have to say anywhere near that. All you have to do is say, Alexa, play KSCO. That's all you have to do. That's what I've been doing for years. Anyhow, we don't have, we have someone calling who's being screened, okay? And so this being a hate-free radio station, right? If Josh, if you could get past the call screener, Josh, we'll put the caller on the air. If Josh decides that you're hateful, you know, and we've empowered him with, the person obviously isn't hateful because they're up on the board, right, Josh?
More or less, yeah.
More or less.
But I don't know if they're looking for to give compliments or not. So that was your parameter last week.
Oh, it's always my you pick it up again and make sure that that a compliment is forthcoming, please, or we don't want. What did you say?
I want to compliment Steve. I think that what he just said, what you just read of his, is largely accurate. There's I wouldn't call people social. Rotkins is, does send us a few interns and stuff, but there is.
By the way, I like Mike a lot.
Yeah, I like Mike too.
He's been on the Saturday Special.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
One of the things I like about Mike, besides his great sense of humor, is that he has never turned us down for an invitation to come.
No, I get
with a lot of hostile people.
Yeah,
you know.
But the thing is, there is a homeless industrial complex that in a certain sense doesn't want the issue to be solved. And I think a lot of us that are on the ground working with people on the streets are as much frustrated with the homeless. And there was just $7 million found to solve homelessness and to provide shelter, and nothing was provided with the $7 million. There's just endless amounts of money. And Housing Matters just posted that they got 50 employees and so on, and it's just like a total frustrating, circus. And there is a certain truth to what he's saying, that there's a lot of money in homeless services, and solving homeless services would adversely affect that.
That's why there should. A
industry.
lot of people believe that's why there shouldn't and will not anytime soon be a cure for cancer. There probably has been one for a long time that's been suppressed.
Right. Yeah. Many of our social issues could be solved, but the wrong people are getting the financials. Basically, why doesn't Barry Swenson get a lot of money to build a lot of SROs so that Barry Swenson's company makes money like they need to, and there'd be like hundreds of people living in an SRO.
Wait a second. Single residence. SRO stands for single.
Yeah, just like
single occupancy. What does SRO mean? I used to know. I forgot.
Single room occupancy, and it's just like what
they still need, even with existing building costs, even if you have the land for free, it's doubtful that it's affordable, that what you end up with is going to be affordable. It certainly can't be affordable if you have to pay anywhere near what current property values are around here. You have to have the land for example.
But there is free land. Right now, the Calvary Episcopal Church has for years tried to build low-income senior housing on the parking lot that they own next to the church downtown on Cedar. But the issue is that they can't get financing for it because it doesn't pencil out, right? Which what you're saying. But the city has spent. According to Andy Mills, they spend $11 million of police time moving homeless people around in circles. According
Wow, imagine that money being applied to construction, build, baby, build, which is all I've ever been saying.
Yeah, or there's
people who complain the most about the high cost of housing are the people who are hysterical about allowing any more building. Doesn't make any sense.
Right.
It never has.
Yeah, Dr. Leff was talking to me about, he got $25 million to the Department of Health to do drug rehabilitation and addiction services, but he couldn't find a single place to put a building to do it. Yeah. So that there's an estimated $50 million was spent on homelessness in Santa Cruz in the last 12 months, and you could almost build a building for $50 million.
Almost. It depends on the size of the building.
Yeah.
I want to do something with tiny house. I'd like to do it even on KSCO property. We got a lot of property here.
Yeah.
If they'd let me, but you were within 100 feet. You were within 100 feet of a riparian corridor. Oh no, hysteria.
Yeah,
can't build anything.
Or you try to get a building permit, and I run into people that go, "Wow, I wanted to do something in my backyard, and a small little place to help some, and it was like so many thousands of dollars just for the building permit." Let alone buying concrete and wood.
I've heard that's eased up somewhat, largely because of something that our governor that I can't stand otherwise. I think I approve of this. He's done something about accessory dwelling units, making it easier. So that's one good. I will give him credit for that if there aren't a whole bunch of strings attached.
Right. See, and that's often, sadly, the case with particularly Democrats.
All right, Watsonville, Ray, Flinks and Aptos, Rory in Watsonville, and Steve in Montana are on. We have about 10 minutes left, so we're going to do our best to get everybody. I invited Steve to call, but that was before I read his long thing here. Go ahead, Steve. We love you, but keep it short, please. Steve. I don't hear Steve. Okay.
He had to go to the restroom.
Maybe that's what happened. Okay. Watsonville, Ray.
Hey, I'm just curious. From the email that I just heard you read, if we solve the homeless problem, sounds to me like we solved corruptness in this county. Second thing.
I think there's a truth to that. I think there's definitely a truth to that.
The second thing, the guy that was just speaking now, said the first figure he threw out was $7 million, and then he threw out another figure of $11 million, then he threw out another figure of $50 million. So if
he was talking about different. He was talking about different things.
I understand. Just listen to what I'm saying first. So, just by those sheer numbers, I'm just curious. Where is this?
He got disconnected, and I did not hang up on him.
That's a bummer.
That is a bummer,
but he has a really good point. We often wonder. So, for instance, Housing Matters, which used to be called the Homeless Service Center, who knows how much money was spent to rebrand the Homeless Service Center to be called Housing Matters, but they still their showers don't work, and they could have maybe spent money on a plumber. But what happens is whatever their money comes in, they, from the federal government or the state or whatever, they can't spend it on a plumber to provide showers. They're only allowed to spend that money on advertising, and so it goes to that instead of, and that's what we often hear.
We don't get any of it, but we're not politically correct.
No, well, they should be paying the
maybe
for public. They should.
Maybe they would be a good sponsor of your program that I hope we will get back in some form. Okay.
I don't think they're going to sponsor anything that I ever do.
Oh.
I don't think Phil Kramer actually appreciates what we do.
Yeah. Steve, are you there?
I am.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. But real quick here, because
I just wanted to say that I tried to keep it as factual as I could in that facts. I like Mike Rotkin myself. Hell, I even like, what's his face? Robert Norris. I like him too, and he's a very dedicated individual. But looking from the outside, it's easy to see what people inside Santa Cruz don't want to see. And that's all I had to say, except Merry Christmas and Happy New Year and Happy Hanukkah.
Thank you, Steve Hartman. Okay, our next caller is Flinks in Aptos. Quick, Flinks.
Hey, I think our sophistication and our smartness, our independent, I'm not sure what the word is, but I think that separates us from the animals, but we are still animals.
We are aminals. That's exactly right.
You're not going to get rid of, you're never going to get rid of these different aspects of survival of the fittest. That's all I have to say. Survival of the fittest is what it's all about, and that's what it's going to continue to be. So you have to survive on your own, be self-reliant, and if someone's not self-reliant, they're going to.
We have to. Some people can't be, and they need help. That's what we got to, streamline and get good at. Okay. Thank you very much for calling, Rory in Watsonville.
Thank you. We need to deal with the homeless deal in the courts vis-a-vis this Ninth Circuit decision out of Boise, Idaho. That has to be overturned. We have to be able to enforce vagrancy laws. And the people that come to the coast, they need to be repatriated to their home state, home city, hometown. We can't take on the burden of all these other states. Many of them are mentally deranged and need hospital care, so that has to be dealt with. And the other thing I heard last week, guess what they have down in downtown L.A. besides typhus, a new disease that showed up? Anybody want to guess?
No, tell us quick.
Leprosy.
Oh, yeah, I've heard something about that, yeah.
And the county of L.A., I think it was the county, not the city, has dedicated $1 billion to the homeless issue. I don't know where they're at with that spending, but it's not going to help. And for people to think that big contractor builders can build a place, make money, somebody's got to maintain it. Somebody's got to pay the rent. Somebody's got to pay the property tax. You can't just flop on the coast and it's okay. It's not okay. And I think we take care of our local people in Santa Cruz County first and California, and the rest, go home.
You sound like Trump. You sound terribly racist and inhuman.
Well, I would want to.
The other thing is, I disagree with Flinks. It's not survival of the fittest. We are human beings made in God's image and likeness, each one of us. We deserve dignity. But what I'm having to say is tough love, okay?
Right.
It's just like raising kids. You don't give them what they want. You give them what they need.
Okay.
And you do it for their best interest. And so this has nothing to do with running a person down. People are important. In fact, Michael, we treat animals better than we treat humans.
We do
in
treat
this
animals
society.
better than humans, and that's
Yes. And
they should
and
be
a
treated
Merry
worse
Christmas-
than humans because humans are better than
Yeah, and-
animals. Okay, so listen.
And a Merry Christmas, Happy
to you
Holidays.
too, Rory. Okay, who is this? It's Nancy and Carmel. Please call back. I don't know why it dropped you because you were the next one, but Ray, your call
Might have
was
hit
dropped.
drop all.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, I hit take next, and there's something wrong. We need to throw this system away. It's not. It's good. Now here I'm saying we should. We were cured of cancer. We don't talk negativity. That was just a negative comment. The listeners will disregard that last statement by MZ that we need to get rid of our equipment. That's no damn good. Okay, Ray, you were finish up.
Right.
I don't know why you were dropped. I didn't
So we're
drop you.
talking about $7 million. We'll just talk about the first $7 million. Well, I would be curious to know where this money's coming from. Who are these people donating this money? Are these people that own these business fronts where these homeless are loitering and they're donating to the cause to get these people out of their business front so their customers don't have to step over them? If that being the case, if it's not the case, either way, that money that is trickling in to support the homeless is to get them off the street. So I'm curious, if you were to take every single person in Santa Cruz County that are currently homeless the day that $7 million arrived in somebody's bank account, how many nights in a hotel would they be put up and fed?
Well, it's a very interesting point.
Wait, hang on. If they're not going to solve the big picture, and the big picture is, like your friend indicated, there are social issues involved, there are medical issues involved, there are criminal issues involved, and all those things need to be handled in a process in order to get to the cause of the problem. But between now and then, I'm looking where that $7 million is coming from. If it's coming from those business fronts, then people need to be taken out of the streets, and that $7 million needs to be spent directly for what it was meant for. And that was to get these people off the business fronts, sleeping on the sidewalks in the public.
Okay,
If
thank you, Ray. Appreciate it. We
want.
want to get to Nancy here. Nancy Capitola, not Carmel. Go ahead, you're on.
Hi, thanks for taking my call. I just want to say this quickly. I don't have much time, but I was just checking the internet and the news and stuff, and they talked about this company, I think it's called Icon, that's they have these D3 printers that are putting up homes to live in no time, cement, that in no time, in Mexico and Norway, I think it is. And so they're livable, and they show you what it looks like inside to combat, earthquakes as well as floods and things like that. You might look into that.
Thank you.
D3 printers.
Great, appreciate it. Thank you very much for calling. And quick, Dave and Salinas, you got less than a minute. 30 seconds.
Okay,
Go.
I can make it. I make it count. I like what. Well, we'll see. If I like it. What Oakland's going to do? They bought a cruise ship with 1,000 rooms on it, and they're going to put the homeless on that.
Wow, what a great idea. Okay, thank you for calling 479-1080. Gee, we didn't stick to the subject at all today about smearing. So much for that great idea that I had, right? But we still talked some more about homeless.
Yeah.
And thank you, Josh. Thank you, Keith.
Thanks, MZ.
Thank you.
Thanks, Josh.
Let's
Thanks,
just
callers.
That's all, folks.
KSCO Santa Cruz, Salinas, Monterey, Venus, 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 Monterey,